Hey, Guy here. Reading some of Matt Maiocco's article at NBC Sports Bay Area. Kyle Shanahan told him a few things that are interesting. Number one is that the 49ers should have a defensive coordinator by the end of the week. That's what Kyle told Maiocco. He told him, yes, we've interviewed Brandon Staley. He confirmed he's interviewed his own coach, Nick Sorensen, who's the Niners defensive pass game specialist. Daniel Bullock, the 49ers DB coach, will interview later in the week, Shanahan told Maiocco, and that there will be a couple more interviews before the end of the week. You need 2 minority interviews as well. So, the Niners may do an external interview. A lot of people have mentioned Aaron Curry to me, which is an interesting name because Aaron played for the Seahawks, coached for the Seahawks for 4 years, coached under a really good defensive staff, Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh last year as the inside linebacker coach. Jeff Ulbrich, that's the name that has come up a lot since that was the one that Tim Kawakami guessed in his mailbag in the Athletic last week. And Tim tweeted this morning that he thought some of the holdup was, just some unforeseen things, alluding to the possibility that they were dealing with a unique situation, right? A unique situation meaning a coach who was under contract as a coordinator somewhere else. You want to hire Aaron Curry as your DC, the Steelers can't stop you. You want to hire Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel as your DC, they don't work for anybody, so nobody can stop you. You want to hire Jeff Ulbrich as your defensive coordinator, the Jets can stop you. The Jets can say nope, or the Jets can say, for the right price, we might be willing to do something. Let's negotiate. You know what? We really want to keep Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich feels like he feels like a second-round pick. And the Niners go, well, we like him. You're in a weird spot because you go, oh, well, we think he's a really good coordinator. But how about a 7th? So it could be some variation of that. That was what Maiocco suggested, or rather Kawakami suggested. But as Maiocco writes, they got interviews to do. They got people to talk to. John Lynch is going to talk on Tuesday at 2:00. That's part of the NFL Combine schedule. Will he give us any more insight? We'll see. If they still have interviews to do, then the answer to that's going to be no. The Brandon Staley interview, is interesting. I know that's a hot button for a lot of people. Gus Bradley was a name that Kawakami threw out last week, and Ulbrich was a name he threw out last week. I think Kyle should be good at this. Kyle should be able to hire a good defensive coordinator because he coaches against these guys. Now, there isn't a lot of Steve Wilks history. Ulbrich coached with him in Atlanta. There isn't a lot of Steve Wilks defensive coordinator history. But, I think it was a chance. I didn't feel like much of a chance, honestly. To me, I thought it was a good hire when they made it. I do think they probably were not prepared for him to be a one-and-done coach. I know there are some people who think that he was potentially going to coach a year for them and then become a head coach. I was not particularly optimistic about that. I thought that was a bit of a long shot just because he'd really recently been a head coach and it hadn't gone well. Now, it's the Panthers and, whatever. They're a mess. But I thought it was a bit of a long shot. I think they were hoping it would work, and maybe he's your Spagnuolo, like really good enough to be a high-level DC, but not hot enough a name to become a head coach again. Spagnuolo still wants to be a head coach, but obviously he's going to have to wait another year if that's going to happen. If he wins 3 straight Super Bowls as a DC, is he going to get a job? If not him, then nobody. Given guys who were head coaches, had the shot, have gotten a little older. It doesn't feel like he's in that wheelhouse. So for those reasons, I think Wilks was also a guy that they should not, I don't think, have been prepared internally to have Nick Sorensen ready, or Daniel Bullock's is 1 year away. Just Wilks for a year, then he's going to become a head coach, and then we'll just promote from within. I don't think that was their plan because I think it'd be a little bit too optimistic to have thought of Wilks that way. Now, as it turned out, he was one and done. Not for the reason you would have guessed. If you had told me at the beginning of the year, Wilkes going to be one and done, I go, well, they're going to be a really good defense. Okay, he's going to get a head coaching job. But that's not what happened. He got fired. So, I think it'd be like Curry would be, or internal guys, a little off the table for me just because Kyle, if Kyle hires Brandon Staley or if he hires Jeff Ulbrich, you're going to go, or Gus Bradley, who's defense, he's working for the Colts, so he can't just go hire him. Defense were 28th each of the last 2 years. But anybody that's been calling defense in the NFL, Kyle Shanahan should have a really good feel for. If they made his life difficult, well, that's good because A, he's good, and B, almost half the league now, a third of the league is doing Shanahan stuff, so you're going to see a lot of that type of stuff. So, he should have a good feel for this, right? You should be able to, it's one thing when like you overvalue a guy you just played. We just played against another team's receiver and he just burned us, or we just played against another team's DB and he just killed us today. I think teams really value that stuff. I see it in college too. Like college, they'll play a lower level team, a group of 5 team, a major program will play a group of 5 team or an FCS team, and one guy will play well. And like that guy belonged on the field with us. That makes more sense to me because you don't really know when you're scouting group of 5 guys or FCS guys, how will they translate to a field with high major college football players? Well, you play a game and then it translates. NFL is different. I mean, these guys are all elite, right? Some DB locks up Brandon Ayuk for a game. Do you immediately go sign him? It feels like a little bit of an overreaction. But a coach, every play is against that guy. You watch all of his tape leading up. Kyle should be good at hiring a coordinator. He should be a defensive coordinator. He's never quite been in this spot before. He's gone into, we'll find out. But like if he were to hire Brandon Staley, I guess it's definitely closer to Wilkes than hiring D'Amico and then hiring Saleh. But it's probably or Ulbrich. Either one of those guys would be the most established defensive coaches that he's hired in four coordinators. Wilkes was a longtime NFL coach. He was not a longtime NFL coordinator. He hadn't done as much coordinating. So it was a bit of a leap of faith, but he'd done enough, don't get me wrong, that it felt like a reasonable thing to do. So Kyle said it's going to get done this week. So we'll have news this week, and then the Niners can start moving forward, trying to figure out if it's an external guy, what exactly is his style. Isaiah Oliver kind of was a Steve Wilkes nickelback last year. Didn't work great. New guy's going to have some free agents he'll like if he comes from the outside. And certainly he'll have some draftable prospects he likes. He might have some guys that you get a little intel here. Who did the scouting staff like? I've been talking to them. They know I like this guy. They're going to know you like this guy. So there's going to be some of that, but if you go external. But good to have this thing wrapped up soon.